Hey traders, Jason here from Leavitt Brothers. Happy Tuesday. As I mentioned last week, I'm putting together a mini masterclass in trading. It's done. I just have to tidy up a few things. I'll certainly announce it when it's ready, probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday. In this video, I'm going to cover a few recent trades. I'll show longer term charts and then zoom in with shorter term charts to show entries and such. Okay. In the class I'm developing, I'll show how I find trading ideas, so you'll want to check that out. All right, let's get to a few of these. All right, here's Costco. I was looking to trade over here. I didn't nail this whole move. I just was over here at the end of September. We had a positive divergence. You had the stock moving down and down. MACD histogram starting to move up. Then it crossed over here. You could actually draw a trend line here if you want. Also notice that there's some volatility here, so there's an opportunity to get long. Okay, so strong stock in an uptrend, pulling back to its 50-day moving average, and we get a positive divergence from the MACD histogram. So I'm looking for a trade. I'm not looking for a big trade, not looking for an extended trade. I'm not looking for a huge move, or I don't expect to be in for months. I'm just looking for a trade, possibly back up to the highs. So let's zoom in. Here's the 60-minute chart. That area that I was looking to go long is over here. It's basically over here. Okay, and you'll notice the stock has like a little bit of a rounded bottom. It comes up, comes down. I don't know if I say it would test the 50-hour moving average, but it does go below it, and then comes back up and establishes itself. And then, as you can see, it trends higher. Okay, so to me, again, step one, identify a good stock on a daily chart. And then step two, zoom in with an hourly chart and look for an entry with around a moving average or something. I mean, another bonus here was that we got another positive divergence, which certainly helps with the entry. We know we're going to get an entry in here. It's just a question of can we zoom in with the 60 or the 30 or the 15 and find a good risk reward entry where we're getting a good entry after a key moving average was tested, reasonable stop, and then pretty good upside potential. All right, here's Facebook. This is a 3D chart, so each candle is 3 days. I saw positive divergence here. We got lower low, higher high from the MACD histogram. So, I'm zooming in. I'm going to zoom in over here and look for entries. Look for just look and see if there's anything there. Like the Costco chart I just showed you, I wasn't looking for a big move or an extended move. I was just looking for a trade. Here's a stock. Overall, it's doing well. It had pulled back. Down, high, up, down, just looking for a bounce play, maybe back to the high, the previous high here, maybe back to the high overall. Again, very low, very minimal expectations, but it's just a trade. So here is the 60-minute chart. You'll notice that after the stock popped, we got really nice support at the hourly 50. Okay, so there are entries in there, and I like this. I like identifying a stock on the daily and then zooming in with a 60 or a 15 in order to see what moving averages seem to be most in sync with the stock. And then I'm going to use those moving averages as kind of like lines in the sand or like a frame of reference, and I'm going to trade around those moving averages. So in this case, the 50 on the hourly chart proved to be a good support, so that gave us a pretty good frame of reference to judge the stock by. And as you can see, the stock did fairly well. Not a huge trade, not a big winner, but it went from like 180 to 190, and on a percentage basis, that's not that great. But whatever, it's just traded, and little trades like that, while you're waiting for bigger trades, add up. Here is the 15-minute chart. I guess it's very similar. The 200 moving average on the 15-minute chart acts just like the 50 moving average on the hourly chart. Couple things I want to point out here. Okay, notice how the stock reacts to the 15-minute 50. You'll notice how it comes up here and then finds support above the moving average. Comes up, tests it kind of sloppy, but then right here it closes above and then it takes off. Okay, so this is something I look for all the time. If you have a moving average kind of like this, well, you're not going to know that it's pointing up. But if the stock moves above it and below it and above it and below it and then above it and then finds some support there, that tends to tell you that the consolidation or neutral period is coming to an end. So when I see Facebook go above and below and above and then come over here and kind of find support, that tells me that this period here, which lasted 4 or 5 days, is probably going to end and the stock's going to resolve up. All right, Nvidia. This is a monthly chart, so long-term 50-month moving average was steadily trending up, and we had like little double bottom at the moving average. So this told me that, hey, huge run, huge drop, and the stock more than got cut in half. We got a little double bottom here, neither moving average. So I want to zoom in and see if I can find something interesting, find an entry. At first, I'm not looking for a big trade up to the highs. I just want to see maybe we can do a bounce play. I mean, even a bounce play that goes from 140, 150 up to 180, 190 is still a pretty good percentage move. So we zoom in. Here is the weekly chart. Okay, you can see support at the 200-week moving average. We got 50-week moving average acting as a resistance level. So I was most interested. I posted this at Leavitt Brothers. I was most interested over here because the stock got above the weekly 50, established itself. So I saw that, and then I saw like a trend line resistance over here. So when it double bottom at the 200 on the weekly here, gets above the 50, establishes itself for a couple weeks, forms a trend line. So that gives us a frame of reference to judge a stock. Now let's zoom in even further. Here's the daily chart. So as you can see, similar to what I've just showed you, is that how it moves above a moving average, goes below, moves above, and we're talking about the 50 moving average here. Then it finds support here, goes up, finds support again, and then it takes off. Okay, so this is something I look for, is that I'm going to draw that same trend line. It was right here. So as the stock was basing, the oscillations above and below the 50 are getting more and more favorable. Okay, you got a big dip below the 50. Here you got a small dip below the 50. Here you got just peaks its head below the 50, and then here it completely is supported by the 50. So you can see it progressively getting stronger, progressively building strength, and then it moves through resistance, and you got a decent trade. Not a great trade, not a huge trade. Percentage-wise, it's only it's probably not even 10%, but still, again, little trades like this add up while you're waiting for bigger trades to reveal themselves. Okay, and then here's the 60-minute chart for Nvidia. Go through this really fast. All right, continuing here. I paused this, and I don't know where I paused it. I continued to talk through some of these slides, and I just realized that it wasn't recording. So I'm just going to guess where I was. I'm just going to start from this Alcoa chart. This is going to be my last one. All right, so I'm probably cutting off from the last chart. Oh well. All right, so here's Alcoa. Stock was kind of weakish, trending down, forming possibly a bottoming pattern. Stock comes up here, establishes itself above the moving average, and then obviously it eventually broke out. So what I'm looking to do is, once the stock, this is a potential trend reversal, okay, because the stock's kind of weak, moves up, establishes itself for 2 weeks. I'm going to zoom in. That's not what I want. I'm going to zoom in on this day right here and look for an opportunity to buy a dip within the range. Okay, for those of you who've been listening to me for a while, you know that I like to find stocks on longer term charts like the weeklies and dailies. Then I zoom in with a shorter term time frame to find an entry. So in this case, I'm going to zoom in on this particular candle with a 5-minute chart and find an entry. So here's a 5-minute chart. This right here is one entire day. Okay, and that's what I'm going to focus on right now. Notice that. See here, so notice how this orange line here is the 21 EMA. Notice how it comes down. That's pretty much the shape of it. Now, the blue line is the 8. So notice it kind of pushes lower and then comes up and kisses, pushes lower, comes up and kisses, and then trends down. And notice how like right when they get together, right when these two moving averages get together, that's when the stock's able to come up, establish itself above the 8, and then go in. So I was already long the stock, and when it did this was, to me, this is a good opportunity to buy a dip within a stock that's trying to establish itself in a new uptrend. So I was looking to buy a dip there, and then I guess you could say I got lucky because it gapped up and ran the next day. Okay, so that's an example of finding a stock on the daily chart. I want to buy a dip within a range. Here's a 5-minute chart that kind of shows you exactly what I was looking for, where these two moving averages will come up, kiss each other a couple times, and then eventually they'll get kind of smushed together, and then that's the opportunity for the price to shoot through those, establishes itself at a higher level, and then takes off. All right, so nothing fancy here, just some decent stocks or improving stocks that were tradable for a handful of points. I wasn't looking for extended runs or big points or anything, just looking for just a few money-making opportunities, okay? Find stocks on the daily chart, zoom in with shorter-term charts, and just looking for little trades. Keep it simple, nothing fancy. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.